Dear friends, today we talk about R.B. Sheridan's comedy, The Rivals. The Rivals is a comedy of manners by Richard Brindley Sheridan in 5 acts, which is first performed in Covent Garden Theatre on 17 January 1775. The story has been updated in the numerous adaptations, being including 1935 musical in London and 1958 episode of the television series Maverick, starring James Garner and Roger Moore with attribution. The Rivals was Sheridan's first play. At the time, he was a young man, newlywed, living in the Bath. At Sheridan's insistence upon marriage to his wife Eliza, born Elizabeth Linley, had given up her career as singer. This was proper for the wife of a gentleman, but it was difficult because Eliza would have earned a substantial income as a performer. Instead, the Sheridans lived beyond their means as they entertained the gentry and nobility with Eliza's singing in private parties and the Richard's wit. Finally, in need of funds, Richard turned to the only craft that he knew and he could gain him remuneration he desired in a short time. He began writing a play. He had over the years written and published essays and poems, and among his papers were numerous unfinished essays, plays, and political tracts, but never had undertaken such an ambitious project as this. In short time, however, he completed The Rivals. The Rivals was first performed at Covent Garden, London, on 17 January 1775. You already know, as I said in the very beginning of this talk. It was with comedian Mary Bulkley as a Julia Melville. It was roundly vilified. Both the public and the critics for its length, for its bawdiness, and for character of Sir Lucy O'Trigger being a meanly written role played very badly. The actor Lee, after being hit with an apple during the performance, stopped and addressed the audience, asked, "By the powers, is it personal or is it or the matter?" Apparently, it was both. Sheridan immediately withdrew the play, and in the next 11 days he rewrote the original extensively, including a new preface in which he allowed, quote, "For my own part, I see no reason why the author of a play should not regard a first night's audience as a candid and judicious friend attending in behalf of the public at his last rehearsal. If he can dispose with flattery, he is sure at least of sincerity, and even though the annotation be rude, he may rely upon the justness of the comment." Unquote. Sheridan also apologized for any impression that Trigger was indeed intended was an insult to Ireland, written with a new actor Clinch in the role of Trigger. The play row opened on 20th January to significant acclaim. Indeed, it became a favorite of the royal family, receiving 5 command performances in 10 years, and also in the colonies it was George Washington's favorite play. It became a standard show in the repertoires of 19th century companies in England and the US. The play is now considered to be one of the Sheridan's masterpieces, and the term malapropism was coined in reference to one of the characters in the play. She was first played by John Green. The play is set in 18th century Bath, a town that was legendary for conspicuous consumption and fashion at the time. Wealthy, fashionable people went there to take the waters, which were believed to have healing properties. Bath society was much less exclusive than London, and hence it provides an ideal setting for characters. The plot centers on the two young lovers, Lydia and Jack. Lydia, who reads a lot of popular novels of time, wants purely a romantic love affair. To court her, Jack pretends to be Ensign Beverly, a poor army officer, and Lydia is enthralled with the idea of eloping with a poor soldier in spite of objections of her guardian, Mrs. Malaprop, a moralistic widow. Mrs. Malaprop is the chief figure of the play, thanks to continuous misuse of words, sounds the words she intends but mean something completely different, completely different. The term malapropism was coined in reference to the character. Lydia has two other suitors, Bob Eccers and Sir Lucius Trigger. An improvised, combative Irish gentleman, Sir Lucius, pays Lucy to carry love notes between him and Lydia, who uses the name Delia. But Lucy is swindling him. Delia is actually Mrs. Malaprop herself. As the play opens, Sir Anthony arrives suddenly in Bath. He has arranged the marriage for the Jack, but Jack demurs, saying he is in love with Lydia already. They quarrel violently, but Jack soon learns through the gossip of Lucy and fact that marriage arranged by Sir Anthony is in fact with Lydia. He makes a great show of submission to his father and is presented to Lydia with Mrs. Malaprop's blessings. Jack confides to Lydia that he is only posing as Sir Anthony's son. She annoys Mrs. Malaprop by loudly professing her eternal devotion to Beverly while rejecting Jack absolute. Jack's friend Falkland is in love with Julia, but he suffers from jealous suspicion. He is constantly fretting himself about her fidelity. Falkland and Julia quarrel foolishly, making elaborate and high flown speeches and true love that satirize the romantic dramas of the period. Bob Eccers tells Sir Lucius that another man, Beverly, is courting the lady of the Eccers' choice, Lydia, into brackets. Though Sir Lucius does not know this, Sir Lucius immediately declares that Eccers must challenge Beverly to a duel and kill him. Eccers goes along and writes out a challenge note despite his own rather more pacific feelings and the profound misgivings of his servant David. Sir Lucius leaves, Jack arrives, and Eccers tells him of his intent. Jack agrees to deliver the note to Beverly, but declines to be Eccers' second. Mrs. Malaprop again presents Jack to Lydia, but this time with Sir Anthony present, exposing Jack's pose as Beverly. Lydia is enraged by the puncturing of her romantic dreams and spurns Jack contemptuously. Sir Lucius has also learned of the proposed marriage of Jack and Lydia and determines to challenge Jack. He meets Jack, who, smarting from Lydia's rejection, agrees to fight him without even knowing the reason. They will meet at the same time as Eccers is scheduled to fight Ensign Beverly. At the dueling ground, Eccers is very reluctant to fight, but Sir Lucius will have no shirking. Jack and Falkland arrive. Eccers learns that Ensign Beverly is actually his friend Jack and begs off from their duel. However, Jack is quite willing to fight Sir Lucius and they cross swords. David informs Mrs. Malaprop, Lydia, Julia, and Sir Anthony of the duel, and they all rush off to stop it. Sir Lucius explains the cause of his challenge, but Lydia denies any connection to him, admits her love for Jack. Mrs. Malaprop announces that she is Delia, but Sir Lucius recoils in horror, realizing that he has been hoaxed. Sir Anthony consoles Mrs. Malaprop. Julia is reconciled to Falkland, and Eccers invites everyone to a party. So the marriage ends happily with the marriage of Lydia and Jack. This is the most popular comedy of manners of the times. Thank you.